All right, it is now 7 o'clock. I'd like to welcome you all to the Planning Board meeting of November 29th, 2018. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 7 o'clock, we have a continued public hearing special permit. If you would like to come forward. All right, one thing I need to make abundantly clear to you applicants. There are 4 of us here that can vote on this. You need a supermajority. You need 4 out of 4. Unfortunately, Rebecca was not here when this application was filed back in August. And also be aware that it will still be the 4 of us on the 13th of December. So I'm just letting you know what's happening. Okay? So you may proceed.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Gregory Morse. I'm a registered engineer. With me is the applicant, Bob Berwick, who's the property owner as well, and our architectural designer, Kelly Ennis. As just stated, this is a continued public hearing for 6 McDonald Terrace, proposed mixed-use building consisting of 5 residential units and 1 commercial space. Since the last meeting, we've made several changes to the architectural plans as well as the civil site plans. The architectural changes that were incorporated were a result of the design review committee review. They included additional detailing along the moldings and eave lines of the roof. We added, as a result of the planning board hearing, an ADA accessible access ramp to the commercial space. We've added the HVAC air conditioner condenser units along the back of the building. As we had stated, we're going to be there. We added some screening and fencing around those units. And we prepared a massive plan showing the size of the proposed building, which is at 35 feet height to the ridge, compared to several of the other buildings in the area. On the civil site plans that were prepared, we made several revisions in response to the board's comments, Merrill's comments, and comments from the public at the last meeting. The largest change was we changed the dumpster location. Referring to the site plan, you recall the building is located at the front of the lot. The terrace is at the bottom of the plan. We originally had a dumpster in the back right corner. We heard opposition on that location from the abutter to the west, the Chason property, as well as the abutter to the north, the Cook property. We have since removed the dumpster pad. What we propose to do is we propose to relocate a trash receptacle to the far end of the parking lot. We provided an architectural detail of that receptacle. It's a white PVC enclosure. It has 6 individual cubbies so that each unit owner would have its own cubby for trash, a trash barrel or recycling bin. And then either service could be arranged for that to be picked up, or the unit owner could simply take their trash to the dump. So we've eliminated the large-scale dumpster pad. We added the ADA accessible ramp on the southern end of the building, coming in from the parking lot, access into the commercial space, which is again on that southern end of the building. We've added a handicap accessible parking space in the parking lot. The parking lot originally had 10 parking spaces. We've now increased that to 11 parking spaces. I believe 8 is the requirement. We've proposed additional landscaping and fencing along the lot lines. We've provided an updated landscape plan from Kennedy's Country Gardens, documenting plantings along the southern lot line within an easement on the abutting property. The easement is on property that Mr. Berwick has control over and is approximately 10 feet wide with plantings in it. We proposed an arborvitae screen along the entire western border with the Chason property, and then in speaking with Mr. Cook, we proposed a new fence between this property and the Cook property along the northeast property line. Drainage revisions, we've made revisions to the drainage report based on Merrill's comments. I believe he is satisfied with the drainage. We included updated TSS removal worksheets that he was looking for. We updated the emergency contacts in the operation and maintenance plans, and included additional erosion controls along the lot lines. And lastly, we met with the water department regarding an email that they previously sent requesting a fire hydrant to be installed in McDonald Terrace. There's an existing fire hydrant on McDonald Terrace directly across the street from this site, and in reviewing that further with the water department, they've determined that second hydrant is no longer necessary, as there's an existing one that will service this.
All set?
Turn it over. Yep.
Karen?
I agree with pretty much everything that Greg said. They did supply revised plans with, you've got a dumpster enclosure. The parking, they're showing 11 parking spots. Technically, 8.1 are required with approval of the planning board. They actually have 2 per bedroom, which is better. So they won't have to worry about 1.5 spaces per unit. I think a little bit of work needs to be done on the planting because some of the arborvitae's conflict with the trash enclosure. We need a minor correction on the water line in McDonald Terrace. It's an 8-inch water line, but Greg is right that we don't need the extra hydrant. That came through as a correspondence yesterday, I believe, that the water department is happy with its location. And so I have written some draft findings of fact and draft conditions for the project.
Okay. All right, I'll open this up to the board. Rebecca?
What plantings are you, can you just tell me what plantings you're thinking are just around that area?
Yeah, there's plantings, where they showing the trash enclosure area that they had, on the planting plan, it has arborvitae's there. So when I met with Greg the other day, he said they were going to relocate them into the landscape and grading easement. I mean, he agreed to all these things, so it's no big deal, but it's just maybe in the end you want a final plan with all that showing.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
That's it? And
Just on the stormwater infrastructure, is the tree box filter, that's like a pre-treatment before it goes into the infiltration system under the parking area?
It is. What it is it's basically a piece of curbing that has a curb inlet into it, and there's media inside of this box under that inlet, so that the water goes through that filter media, and then it goes over to the chambers, correct?
Right, so the actual infiltration of stormwater is more centrally located under the parking area. It's not like right on the property line where the tree.
No, yeah, correct. On the, this cut here, you'll see that these are where the Caltech chambers are. I mean, they're all in excess of 20 feet from the lot lines themselves.
Yeah, that's the only thing, the comments I have of substance, question I have. My only personal comments would be that given, I understand that this is like just at the size limit where you don't really hit the 15% threshold for affordable mixed use, like affordable housing and mixed use development, like doesn't really apply because it's still less than 1.
Right.
But I personally, as we go forward in these type of developments, I would really like to see more inclusion of affordable development, affordable options in these type of buildings. I think it's a way that we can try to increase our affordable housing stock per our affordable housing plan that we have. So that might be something as we go forward with the Greenbush kind of rezoning that we might want to look at more seriously. And then along with that, I would have kind of liked to see more elements of the mixed use come out. It seems very much like just a condo with a tiny office in it than a real true mixed use development like I'm used to kind of seeing. But that's really all I have. I think just this is going to be the start of a lot of change in the area, and there's gonna be some growing pains in terms of the massing of buildings, the style, the amount of hardscape, all of that, as we kind of change around how the residential neighborhoods fit with these new structures. But it meets the requirements of the bylaw, and I think the building itself is attractive, and the stormwater is good, so.
Patty?
So there is no garaging for this. Okay, so what are we gonna do when it snows and we have to move the cars? Is that gonna be a problem for McDonald Terrace? Where are you gonna move your cars to when they plow?
So, I mean, the parking lot will be plowed. They might have to coordinate moving cars while the plow's there to plow
Okay.
out parking spaces, but I mean, if the car is parked in a parking space, the snow's not gonna be landing on that
Okay.
space per se either.
Okay. And the other question I have is about the fire hydrants. It was very important that we have one the last time and not this time. So I really throw it out there question, does the fire hydrant on McDonald Terrace operate? It doesn't work? Is it functioning?
It does. We were actually provided two different layouts of the water system in McDonald Terrace. We were provided one based on the Greenbush Sewer Project, which showed a 6-inch water line with a fire hydrant on it, and that's what we depicted on our plan. We were provided more recently, about 2 weeks ago, with a new layout. I understand that the water line was replaced prior to McDonald Terrace being repaved. They put an 8-inch water main in, and they replaced the hydrant as part of that. So it's all within the last 10 years that the new line and the new hydrant is in. It is fully functional. It's not an old system.
Because there's a new one in North Situate that doesn't work.
I know that.
That's why I'm asking, it's
The
terrible
water-
fire, yeah.
Sure. The water main does provide water to 7 McDonald Terrace across the street as well. And so that is all live and active beyond this project is their connection.
And I do agree with Ben that a little more mixed use would be nice, and we need to be very cognizant of the fact that this is the first building that we're going to approve, so you're gonna be kind of setting a mark. So I'd like it to be really high, so everybody else can reach up for that. Looks nice, though.
Bill?
Yeah, we got this drawing.
Yes.
Take 2 minutes and tell me what conclusions I'm supposed to draw from this drawing.
Sure. That's the massing drawing. The board had asked for a massing drawing to show the height of this building in proximity to other buildings in the neighborhood. So what we've depicted on the top here is the 6 McDonald Terrace property. It is 35 feet in height. 40 feet is the maximum permittable in the bylaw for height. But you can see along McDonald Terrace itself, McDonald Terrace right now is essentially one-story single-family homes at that location, predominantly smaller in size. You have roof heights of 16 feet, a roof height of 24 feet directly across the street. Getting to McDonald Terrace, though, you do come up Ford Place. Ford Place does have a number of buildings that are taller in size. Those are what's depicted at the bottom here. The one that was before the board most recently was the Keith project at number 13 Ford Place. That had a roof height of 32 feet on it. You can see the size of that building in relation to 6 McDonald Terrace. But again, in relation to the McDonald Terrace single-family, single-level houses, it is much taller in size.
And then the other question I had was, we talked about handicap access.
Yes.
The only portion of the building that's going to be handicap access is the office.
Correct.
The state lets you get away with that?
Yeah, the individual residential condo units, those don't need to be ADA accessible. If an individual unit owner did need access, they could install a ramp off the back of the unit. But for public access, just the commercial office space is required, so we've added that.
Okay, so when you're one van parking space,
Correct. It's a van accessible space. the corner of the parking lot here, it has the 8-foot wide access aisle adjacent to it, and it's the closest parking space in relation to the ramp itself.
I'm all set.
Okay. I'll open it up to the public. Anybody yes, sir. Would you identify yourself, please?
Jim Cook, 18 Ford Place. Greg, just from where I'm sitting, just turn the other way and point to me where that dumpster is
Sure.
located. It's
So-
looking back all that.
So this is your property here, Mr. Cook. The dumpster's at this corner over here.
Okay.
And it's not a dumpster. What it is it's an enclosure. It's 6 feet in height. And each enclosure is 3 foot by 3 foot square, so that each one would have a trash barrel and or recycling, and it would be individual units.
Okay, so the tenants will be maintaining their own area there.
Correct.
Mr. Cook, are you all set?
Yes, I am, sorry.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Mary Lou Consilio, 22 Ford Place. Patricia brought up a good point about the snow plowing. McDonald Terrace is a private way, so the town in the past, as far as I know, has not plowed that. Actually, the person who used to live in that house plowed that street. What is going to happen now with this development? Who will plow and where will the snow be put? Because there's really no room there. And as for the vehicles that will be behind the development, where will they go while it's plowing? I mean, nothing ever seems to come together like someone might want it to be, so I think it's a valid point. What's going to happen to the snow, who's going to plow it, and where's it going to be put? And the other thing that they mentioned is it's 35 feet tall, and Mr. Cook's property is 16. You brought up the Keefe's property on the other side, 32 feet. That's behind farm-style homes, which are similar, and they kept the development, the structure of it cohesive. It blends, you don't even notice it. A 35-foot building behind a 16-foot building is kind of like an elephant in the room. I don't think you can blend that, it's twice the size. I think that's a concern. Granted, its progress is always a little bit difficult at times, but I think that for that particular area, having such a large development for the people who live right there, their houses will be overshadowed by this really large building, and that opens the door for the next person to make an even bigger building, or maybe go to the extent of as far as they can go. I just think that it's something to be concerned about.
Okay, your snow comment is well taken. Mr. Berwick, what do you plan to do?
So the condo docs will require that both the private way and the parking lot be plowed, and expenses be shared amongst the unit owners.
So McDonald Terrace will be plowed,
Yes.
and the snow will...
There is also another attorney, John Sullivan, is also located on the private way, and he will be part of the required association to plow make sure the street is plowed.
Okay, all right. And I have to say, I do agree in terms of the massing. I do. And I wish, in retrospect, I think the building looks good. It's too bad it couldn't have been gabled, so that it was just a little bit more in keeping with everything else. But the plans have been drawn, and there's nothing further we can do. Is there?
Did Gables
Well,
discuss the design review?
we went through design review,
And they,
and they made their recommendations. They were overall pleased with the building. They made a number of suggestions, all of which we took into consideration and made their requested changes.
Do you mean
There-
gabled in each unit? So there's 2 gables on it. Do you mean gabling the entire?
no, just have some type of that long space. You do have a chimney in the middle of it, and you have some dormers. But it's that long roof line that is really Okay, I'm looking at the back of the building.
Yeah, the roof line is broken, I mean, it's,
Okay.
you know, I mean, it's
Yeah.
the middle part that has the hipped porch around it,
Those are stepped roof lines.
those are
Okay.
stepped, so it will be stepped, it's not gonna be one big long line, it will
All right.
step back on each portion there.
Because, as has been pointed out here, this is the first, really, of a mixed use. Not as mixed as we would necessarily like it to be, but it is the beginning. And you will be the first of many, and we want the bar to be fairly high, so that the next one that comes in will be as good or better than this. So you have set a standard. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to say something? All right, what is the pleasure of, what?
I just had a question. There was, Tarek and Silvio, 22 Ford Place. There was a light that's going to be put out front, a tall light, a street light or something. I don't know if it was in the plans. My husband went through. I just want to know if it was going to be like the other street lights facing down or...
They're all gonna look, you know, on Ford, how they
Yeah.
have, they're just really like that.
So they're going to face directly
They're
down?
gonna face down, yeah.
Nothing is to face up.
Okay, well, I didn't know who was going to face out or...
They'll be just like those with the goops
Okay.
in.
All right, anyone else? Hey, Patty?
What do I read?
What?
Suggest that we get a sense of the board so that he
Yes.
gets an understanding of how many votes you got and how many you don't have.
Thank you.
Bill?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Yeah, I think
Begrudgingly.
good enough. Good enough.
And I am too, as well. All right.
So what I've done is I've written draft findings of fact and draft conditions that you're, welcome to change. I have included in the draft conditions that we need to see the condominium documents.
Okay, so we'll read that first.
Do you have a copy of these?
Shari's going to give them one.
So I'll read the findings of fact first.
Yes, findings of fact.
Okay. Suggestion motion, I move that the planning board make the following findings of fact. Number one, RJB Development Corporation filed an application for a mixed-use special permit in the Village Business Overlay District under Scituate zoning bylaw section 560 on August 6, 2018. This application included a project narrative, stormwater permit application, and drainage calculations, and plans by Morse Engineering Company, Inc., entitled Proposed Mixed-Use Building, 6 McDonald Terrace, Assessors Parcels 53-5-21, and Parcel A, Scituate, Massachusetts, dated 7/24/18. The most recent revised plans were dated November 12, 2018, and is further amended to meet these conditions.
Just take that and as further amended, cross that out. So it should end at November 12th, 2018.
Two, the applicant also submitted a proposed elevations, sheet A200 and A201, and proposed plans A100 and A101 for McDonald Terrace dated 3/8/2018 by Kelly Ennis Design. The most recent revised plans were dated 10/25/18 to incorporate comments from the Design Review Committee and further revisions dated 11/29/18 and 11/26/18 to incorporate comments from the Planning Board. A massing comparison, sheet A202, was submitted with the revised date of 11/29/18. A trash enclosure, sheet A203, dated 11/27/18, was also submitted. 3, the applicant also submitted a planting plan for the proposed mixed-use building, 6 McDonald Terrace, Assessors Parcels 53-521 and Parcel A, Scituate, Massachusetts, dated 7/24/18, with revisions through 11/15/18 by Kennedy's Country Gardens, Scituate, Mass. A photometric lighting plan for 6 McDonald Terrace dated 10/23/18, and lighting sheets for wall-mounted classic onion sconces by Norwell Lighting for doors and Lumen Pulse Allegra 12-foot light standards. 4, the property that is the subject of this application is a 12,512 square foot upland parcel improved with an existing family home and garage. The property is shown on the Scituate Assessor's maps as parcel 53-5-21 with 10,400 square feet. However, a Form A was recorded on March 7, 2018, adding parcel A consisting of 2,112 square feet to create the 12,512 square foot parcel. The property is in the Business District and Village Business Overlay District. 5, the lot or yard area required for the new building or use do not include any part of a lot that is required by any other building or use to comply with any requirements of this bylaw. The proposal meets the requirement of section 560.4A. 6, the application was reviewed under section 750 by the Design Review Committee on October 16, 2018. As required by Scituate zoning bylaw section 560.8, Design Review Standards, the Planning Board has considered the extent to which the applicant satisfies the Design Review Standards detailed below. A, roofs. Roofs are pitched to the center ridge and the slope meets or exceeds the 8.8.12 slope required by section 560.88. Dormers are no more than 20 feet in width as scaled from the architectural drawings. B, facade treatment. On the facade of the building facing McDonald Terrace, a private way, and shown on the plan by Kelly Ennis Design referenced above, 23% of the ground floor and 31% of the second floor facades are glazed. Section 560.8B requires a minimum of 50% of the first floor and 30% of the second floor to be glazed when on a public way. C, front yard setbacks. The front setback for the building situated on McDonald Terrace will be 10.4 feet to the edge of the southwest corner of the building. 10 feet is the minimum permitted. No parking is located in the front yard setback. The proposal is considered to meet this requirement. D, side and rear yard setbacks. The side setback is proposed to be 8.4 feet on the left and 26.2 feet on the right. The rear setback will be 55.5 feet. The adjacent lots at 18 Ford Place and 10 and 14 Ford Place contain residences. The minimum side or rear setbacks are guaranteed greater than 20 feet from a residential, and the proposal is considered to meet this requirement. That's all right. E, special setbacks. Scituate Harbor, this requirement is not applicable. F, Greenbush design standards. The building at 88 feet has the longest facade facing McDonald Terrace. This is less than the 120 feet maximum. This is the only front facade over 50 feet and is articulated. This proposal is considered to meet this requirement. G, parking and landscaping. The driveway for the proposal will be 20 feet wide. A landscape plan was submitted. No invasive plants are proposed. Screening is proposed abutting residential uses. The site is not in the water reuse protection district. Stormwater is proposed to be treated by a tree box filter and subsurface recharge system. No parking is proposed beyond that which is required. The proposal meets the requirements of section 560.4B and the design review standards of section 560.8. 7, as the proposal contains less than 8 housing units, no affordable units as defined in section 560.7 are required or proposed. The proposal meets the requirements of section 560.4C. 8, the requirement that 50% of the floor area be a retail use is not applicable here, as the property is not on Country Way in Greenbush. The proposal is considered to meet the requirements of section 560.4D. 9, according to Gregory J. Morse, P.E., the lot contains 12,512 square feet. 16 units per 40,000 square feet are allowed. This equates to 5 residential units for the lot area. And according to the site plan, sheet 1 of 3, stamped by Gregory J. Morse, P.E., 4,740 square feet, or 38% of the site shall be maintained as open space, and this exceeds the required 20%. Frontage is required to be an amount sufficient in the opinion of the planning board to provide adequate access and not less than 20 feet. frontage of approximately 138.5 feet is provided on McDonald Terrace according to the site plan, sheet 1 of 3, stamped by Gregory J. Morse, P.E. The proposal is considered to meet the requirements of section 560.4E. 10, the applicant is not seeking a bonus density. The requirements of section 560.5 are not applicable. 11, the proposal will contain 11 parking spaces, including 1 ADA van accessible space, and 8.1 spaces are required with the approval of the planning board. This is 1 space per 1-bedroom units and 1.5 spaces per the 2-bedroom units, and 1 space for the office unit consisting of 314 square feet. The applicant has provided parking which meets the requirements of section 560.6. 12, as the proposal contains less than 8 housing units, no affordable units as defined in section 560.7 are required or proposed. The requirements of section 560.7 are not applicable. 13, the proposed stormwater management system has been reviewed by the town's consulting engineer, Peter Palmieri, P.E., of Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors, whose comments indicate his concerns have been satisfactorily addressed if the stormwater management system is built as designed. 14, the review of the stormwater management system by the planning board's consulting engineer and their approval of this special permit eliminates the requirement for a separate stormwater permit under the stormwater general bylaw and its regulations for any work that conforms to the plans. Gregory J. Morse, P.E., has certified that the drainage system can be expected to result in post-development runoff characteristics, including peak flow, total volume of runoff, and water quality of runoff, to be equal to or less than the pre-development runoff characteristics. Based on these findings, the mixed-use special permit meets the requirements under the Village Business Overlay District Section 560.
For a second.
I have an amendment. It's just strike bullet point number 12, because it's the same as number 7.
I thought so.
Okay.
I thought I read that twice.
All right, is there a second as
Wait a
amended?
minute, you say it's the same as what? Sorry, because I went,
7.
Except there's
think.
different numbers there, Benny.
no, that's was 560.4C. This one's going back into another section of the bylaw, too. Okay.
All right.
It just, it covers you because it's the 2 sections that are required.
Okay. Anything else? All right, is there a second?
Yep.
All right, all those in favor of the findings of fact?
Aye.
Aye. All right, conditions. Rick, do you want somebody else to read them?
Yes.
All right, I can't do this, you have to do it. Ben?
I move that the planning board approve the special permit with the following conditions. General requirements. 1, all construction work shall be done in accordance with the plans submitted by Morse Engineering Company Incorporated entitled Proposed Mixed-Use Building 6 McDonald Terrace, Assessors Parcel 53-5-21 and Parcel A, Scituate, Massachusetts, dated July 24, 2018, with revisions of November 12, 2018, and additional revisions needed to conform to the conditions contained herein, the mixed-use special permit. Planting plan for the proposed mixed-use building, 6 McDonald's Terrace, Assessors Parcel 53-5-21 and Parcel A, Scituate, Massachusetts, dated July 24, 2018, with revisions through November 15, 2018, by Kennedy's Country Gardens, Scituate, Massachusetts. Proposed elevations, sheet A200 and A201, and proposed plans A100 and A101 for McDonald Terrace, dated March 8, 2018, by Kelly Ennis Design, with revisions dated November 29, 2018, and November 26, 2018, and any additional revisions needed to conform to the conditions contained therein. Trash enclosure for 6 McDonald Terrace, dated November 27th, 2018, by Kelly Ennis Design. Photometric lighting plan for 6 McDonald Terrace, dated October 23rd, 2018, and lighting sheets for wall-mounted classic onion sconces by Norwell Lighting for doors and Lumen Pulse Allegra 12-foot light standards, and as further revised to meet these conditions. All conditions of approval shall be inscribed on this mixed-use special permit plans. 2, where this mixed-use special permit requires approval, permitting, or licensing from any local, state, or federal agency, such required approval, permitting, or licensing is deemed a condition of the Town of Scituate Planning Board's, the quote, planning board or quote, board approval of this mixed-use special permit. All necessary permits and approvals must be received prior to construction. 3, construction shall meet all requirements of the Scituate zoning bylaw. All conditions of approval shall be inscribed on the mixed-use special permit plan. 4, the applicant shall mean the current applicant and all its successors in interest, the quote applicant. This special permit shall lapse within 2 years, which shall not include such time required to pursue or await the determination of an appeal under General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 17, from the grant thereof, if a substantial use thereof has not sooner commenced except for good cause, or in the case of a special permit for construction, if construction has not begun by such date except for good cause. The planning board may extend said period for good cause shown upon receiving a written request from the applicant prior to the expiration of said period, which request shall provide a detailed description of the good cause necessitating an extension. 5, the total number of residential dwelling units on the site shall not exceed 5. The housing mix shall be 1 one-bedroom units and 4 two-bedroom units. The total number of bedrooms shall not exceed 9, using the definition of a bedroom by Title V. All units will be under condominium ownership as indicated by the applicant. 6, the applicant shall obtain the endorsement of the planning board for the mixed-use special permit within 90 days of the expiration of the appeal period and this decision becoming final. Utilities, parking, and traffic. 7, until a condominium association is formed, maintenance and repair of the driveway, parking areas, stormwater management system, snow removal, lighting, and landscaping shall be the responsibility of the owner applicant. 8, no new underground irrigation systems shall be allowed to connect to the town's water distribution system or in any manner use municipal water in accordance with the policy made effective by the Board of Selectmen on October 8, 2014. All irrigation systems installed in accordance with the policy must be supplied by on-site sources at the expense of the property owner. 9, all parking will be constructed as shown on the plan. 10, the building, parking, walkways, paths, and required signage shall meet all applicable requirements of the ADA and Scituate Commission on Disabilities. 11, trash management shall be in the trash enclosure with 6 unit owners will be responsible for hiring a private trash service or taking their trash to the transfer station. The trash enclosure and all fencing on the site shall be white PVC material. 12, all electrical, telephone, cable, and similar utilities shall be located underground. 13, the applicant shall obtain the approval of the planning board through the town planner if minor changes from the plan and/or details are needed for lighting, signage, fencing, or landscaping. 14, the landscaping in the grading and landscape easement located on the adjacent 17 New Driftway property must be permanent with no permanent structures located there in the future. An easement shall be provided to the town planner for review prior to recording. Required prior to the release of special permit to the applicant for recording. 15, funds shall be provided for review of a condominium trust and condominium master deed by town council. 16, plans shall be revised to show the water line as an 8-inch ductile iron pipe and its location in McDonald Terrace. The deciduous tree placed in the Filterra tree box to be a minimum of 2.5-inch caliper. The planting plan shall be revised to show the arborvitae in the grading and landscape easement instead of where the trash enclosure is, and the shrub to be relocated on the property from the McDonald Terrace right-of-way. 17, the applicant shall provide a draft condominium association trust document to include the owners of the office unit and residential units, and a condominium master deed to include the owners of the office unit and residential units. The condominium association trust and master deed shall include a statement that the driveway, drainage system, sewer, walkways through the site, landscaping, and other common areas shall be owned by a condominium association and shall not be maintained by the town. The driveway, drainage system, walkways at the site, landscaping, lighting, tree box filters, stormwater leaching system, and other common areas shall be inspected, maintained, and repaired by a condominium association. This shall also be stated in a note on the plan. B, a requirement that maintenance of the drainage system, pedestrian walks, parking, driveways, and landscaping shall be in accordance with the operation and maintenance plan approved by the planning board's consulting engineer. Provisions for snow removal and maintenance of safe conditions in the winter of all vehicle and pedestrian ways, and a description of annual maintenance of the driveway, parking areas, walkways, landscaping, lighting, and other common amenities. C, a requirement that the association maintain an account always containing a minimum of 1 year's cost for this maintenance. A contractor's estimate of this maintenance, and proof of the available funds in this account shall be provided to the planning board with the agreement and annually on the first of the year. The agreement shall require an annual certification that the stormwater system is being properly inspected and maintained per the operation and maintenance plan. D, a requirement that the owner applicant notify contractors, builders, and real estate agents that membership in a condominium association and a table showing the available parking for each unit are required to be disclosed to all prospective buyers. The developer shall make copies of the condominium trust/condominium master deed available to be provided to all prospective purchasers of units in the development. E, a requirement that the condominium association notify the planning board of the name, address, phone number, and email of the trustees within 7 days of their election, and to provide an annual report of their maintenance activities to the planning board by January 1 of each year. F, a table of the number and general location of parking spaces assigned to each unit. G, the operation and maintenance plan shall be provided to the planning board as a standalone document.
Do you want me to have Rebecca continue, or do you want?
It's up to you guys.
No, it's up to you.
I'll just keep, I'm in
You're on a
the
roll.
zone.
Doing a great job.
If anyone needs me to stop, just say something. Required prior to scheduling the pre-construction conference. 18, the final building plans stamped by a registered architect shall be provided to the planning department for a review for consistency with the elevations and renderings described in condition 1. If the plans appear inconsistent, approval by the planning board will be required. 19, installation of all sewer lines and appurtenances shall be performed according to the specifications of the DPW sewer division. The development shall obtain all necessary approvals for the use of a town sewer prior to scheduling a pre-construction conference. Any required upgrades, modifications, or connections shall be at the applicant owner's expense. Copies shall be furnished to the planning board. 20, if required, a determination of the adequacy of the existing water service for the proposed use shall be provided to the DPW for their approval prior to scheduling a pre-construction conference. Installation of all water mains and appurtenances shall be performed according to the specifications of the DPW Water Division. Any required upgrades, modifications, or connections shall be at the applicant owner's expense. 21, prior to scheduling the pre-construction conference, the applicant shall provide to the planning board, A, copies of the recorded special permit and plans, B, a check to cover cost of inspection by the town's consulting engineer. These shall include at a minimum inspections of subdivision rules and regulations, section 9.0, for the driveway, parking areas, and stormwater management systems, and in addition, inspection of applicable items in the construction sequence and any curbing and water and sanitary sewerage facilities as coordinated with Scituate DPW. The specific amount shall be provided by the planning department based on the consulting engineer's estimate and shall be subject to amendment from time to time and shall be supplemented by the applicant as requested by the planning department. C, a construction schedule including approximate dates for installation of erosion control and other site protection/stabilization. Construction of the building, all applicable items and subdivision rules and regulations 9.0, and D, a type and amount of security satisfactory to the planning board to cover the satisfactory completion of features shown on the site plan, including parking, drainage, landscaping, walkways, lighting, signs, fences, trash enclosures, and conditions imposed by the board shall be provided by the applicant owner. The amount shall be based on the applicant owner's contractor's estimates of the cost of these items, reviewed by the town's consulting engineer, and shall be approved by the planning board prior to the pre-construction conference. Required prior to the start of construction. 22, a pre-construction conference shall be held with the applicant, their representatives, their engineer, the site contractors, the town planner, the planning board's consulting engineer, and other representatives of the town as the board feels are necessary. A list of all contractor contacts, including names, telephone numbers, the planning board, and the DPW. At least one telephone contact shall be available 24 hours per day in the event of an emergency. 23, the property lines of the subject property shall be marked or flagged in the field under the direction of a surveyor and notification given to the town planner and consulting engineer a minimum of 3 business days prior to the start of construction. 24, a stabilized construction entrance and silt sock as shown on the plan, sheet 1 of 3 of the proposed mixed-use development plan, must be installed prior to any earth-disturbing activities on site, included but not limited to clearing and grubbing. Required during construction. 25, construction work shall not begin prior to 7 a.m. weekdays and 8 a.m. on Saturday, and shall cease no later than 7 p.m. or sunset, whichever is earlier. No construction shall take place on Sundays or legal/federal holidays. 26, all earth-moving disturbance operations shall only occur while erosion and sedimentation control measures are in place and approved by the town planner or town's consulting engineer. Such control measures shall remain in place until the board's consulting engineer determines, after consultation with the town planner, that the danger of erosion or sedimentation no longer exists. 27, no parking or unloading on McDonald Terrace shall be permitted during construction. Construction vehicles shall use the designated construction access. 28, the board reserves the right to require the consulting engineer to visit the site weekly during times when required construction inspections are further than 1 week apart. 29, construction of the proposed driveway, parking, and site drainage system shall be supervised by a registered professional engineer who shall certify in writing to the planning board at the completion of the project that the driveway, parking, and drainage system were constructed in accordance with the approved plan. This certification shall be accompanied by as-built plans showing all site utilities and grading, signed and stamped by a professional land surveyor and the supervising professional engineer. The as-built shall be reviewed by the town's consulting engineer for compliance with the design. Required prior to issue of occupancy permits. 30, following review and approval by the planning board, the condominium master deed shall be recorded at the registry of deeds prior to the building department's issuance of an occupancy permit. Proof of recording condominium master deed must be provided to the planning board. 31, no certificate of occupancy shall be issued until the planning board and building commissioner are satisfied that the driveway, parking area, and installation of necessary utilities is in full compliance with the approved plans and the special permit. Administration. 32, all time periods referenced in this document for completion of conditions shall be told in case any appeals are taken. 33, the special permit shall run with the land and shall be void if it is not recorded at the registry of deeds within 90 days of expiration of the appeal period or such extension of that time period granted by the planning board following approval of the special permit. 34, the special permit shall lapse within 2 years from the date of its issuance unless substantial use or construction has commenced prior to that time in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 9. 35, all plan sheets of the mixed-use development special permit plan shall be recorded at the registry of deeds. All construction work shall be done in accordance with said plans.
Okay. Is there a second for discussion?
Second.
Any comments from the board? Bill?
All set.
You're all set? Okay. It's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Wait a minute.
You'll make us proud.
I move to close the public hearing for the mixed-use special permit in the Village District Overlay District at 6 McDonald Terrace and extend the time to file the special permit to December 14th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Do a good job, please.
Thank you.
A very good job.
We will.
Okay.
We'll be there.
We'll be there, we'll
We'll be
be
there.
watching. All right, thank you. All right, we're running a little bit behind. It took longer to read all of those. Oh, my goodness. Than the rest of it. Okay.
Not, it depends what it is.
Sometimes.
She asked if they're always that long. I feel like the mixed-use ones are pretty long.
That was amazing. All right.
The worst was the cell phone towers when I had to read all those.
Oh, my God, yes. Okay, who's this? Pavement?
I don't know.
All right, we now have public meeting, site plan administrative review of 8 Allen Place.
The fish market.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Joseph Norton, 8 Allen Place, Mulaney's Fish Market. I believe it's a continuation from the last meeting. The ZBA didn't have a finding, hadn't filed their finding, I believe.
That came in yesterday, today?
A couple days ago, yeah. And
Okay.
we distributed to everybody on the board.
All right.
Yeah, I have it right here.
Perfect. All right, so, basically, I think you've done everything that you need to do. This was just, we could not issue this permit until we had it in writing
file.
from the zoning
Yep.
board of appeals. And now we have it, and we can move forward,
Okay.
okay? Is there any further discussion from the board concerning Mulaney's Fish Market?
So, nope.
Bill?
Good luck.
All right. Would you like to read?
I don't think I have any.
Here you go.
Okay. Based on the site plan for 8 Allen Place, assessors parcel 50-3-21-A dated 10/2/18 by Morse Engineering Company, Inc., plans entitled Mulaney's Fish Market, 8 Allen Place, Scituate, Mass. By Rivermore Engineering, LLC, a letter dated 11/7/18 by Rivermore Engineering, LLC, and testimony provided, the planning board opines that the requirements of the Town of Scituate zoning bylaw, section 770.6, site plan standards of review have been met to a degree consistent with the use of the site for the purpose permitted in the regulations of the district in which the land is located, and to approve the site plan administrative review for Mulaney's Fish Market with the following conditions. 1, all site work shall be in substantial conformance with the plans entitled Site Plan for 8 Allen Place, Assessors Parcel 50-3-21-A, dated 10/2/18 by Morse Engineering Company, Incorporated, plans entitled Mulaney's Fish Market, 8 Allen Place, Scituate, Mass. By Rivermore Engineering, LLC, except as may be modified to meet the conditions below. 2, approval is contingent upon all local approvals being obtained from the Town of Scituate. Materials and details of construction shall meet all the requirements of the DPW, Board of Health, Fire Department, and Building Department. Where this site plan administrative review requires approval, permitting, or licensing from any local, state, or federal agency, such required approval, permitting, or licensing is deemed a condition of the Town of Scituate Planning Board's approval of the site plan. Any required upgrades in the site for sewer or water shall be at the owner's expense. 3, the planning board agrees to a waiver for the parking requirements for 4 additional spaces under section 760.8 of the zoning bylaw for office and retail space, as there is parking in Cole Parkway. 4, construction work shall not begin prior to 7 a.m. weekdays and 8 a.m. on Saturdays, and shall cease no later than 7 p.m. on sunset, whichever is earlier. No construction shall take place on Sundays or legal/federal holidays. 5, signage to remain as currently exists with 2 carved wood signs. Any changes to the existing sign shall be reviewed and approved by the town planner before application to the building department for a sign permit. 6, the project shall comply with the applicable ADA and Massachusetts Architectural Access Board requirements. 7, the applicant has indicated that mechanical equipment will be on the flat roof and screened by railings on the roof. He has also indicated that green technologies such as rain barrels on the east side of the building, solar panels, and greenscape on the roof will be used. Any substantial changes to the green technologies shall be submitted to the planning board for review and verification that the standards of review are still met. 8, solid waste is to be contained to be trucked off-site. Solid fish waste will be donated to lobstermen to reduce their bait costs. Any substantial changes shall be submitted to the planning board for review and verification that the standards of review are still met. 9, the town planner is to be notified upon completion of construction.
Is there a second?
Yep.
Further discussion? Anyone from the audience? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You're-
Excellent. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Give you a call when it's ready.
All right, we have now an informal discussion, Curtis Estates, 90 Ann Vinyl.
Videos.
Hi.
I gotta go at the end.
Do you need me to move a chair? Okay. Got enough room?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Evening.
It's the river. Sorry. There you go. That's
All
your
right,
vinyl.
we're here to talk about a number of different things. But first of all, I have to say, to receive a letter from Mr. Vogel, the building inspector, was certainly very disconcerting. Looking for permission to pour foundations before lot releases. That is not going to happen, gentlemen. It just is not going to happen until the necessary requirements are met. And I, as chairman of the planning board, and while I will not speak for my board, do not appreciate an end run around this board.
Well, excuse me. You asked me at the last meeting to have Bob Vogel send you something in writing, and I did. Well, there was no end run.
Well, he should have said no.
Why?
There is a process that we need to go through, and we're not going to set a precedent here. So, we have necessary bond. That's the first thing. Karen?
Right now, they have submitted that the bonding company they want to use and the rating of the bonding company, and I've got it reviewed. Town council says that the bonding company is okay, and their rating is okay, and Nancy Holt has indicated that's okay, so it's up to the board if they want to accept a bond. Right now, we don't have a bond amount because the consulting engineer is doing, they have submitted a letter of what they think is to be included in the bond. The consulting engineer is in the process of reviewing it right now.
Okay.
But the bond, I mean, they were, part of the first step is the requirement is, I mean, you need to decide if you want the bond.
In addition, the bonding company has received language from the town as to what they want in it, and they're in the process of incorporating that into their documentation without exception.
So the final thing will be the number, which will have to be worked upon. The applicant intends to come back on December 13th for lot releases they have indicated.
Are there any other items that you think should be included in the bond, Karen?
Yeah, I think there's some things that aren't done need to be included in the bond. So-
Well, can we discuss them tonight so we'll know what we're talking about?
Well, I mean, I don't know, 100% know what's not done. I know that we got a report today from Peter Palmieri that said there's items that as-built, a partial as-built has to be done once the binder goes down, because we have to make sure that the drainage is all working. The binder isn't down yet. There's a drainage connection into Ann Vinyl Road that is going to be done. And let me provide a status update on the drainage connection into Ann Vinyl Road. We have been working the past, since your vote of the last meeting, and basically, we have it approved. SLT was going to come in and get the road opening permit. I don't believe they did that today. But then at the late this afternoon, we got a revised change in the location of the drain manhole because of a tree. I haven't run that by DPW yet, but I'm sure there'll be no problem. All the certifications were provided. So the applicant understands that this needs to be done really as soon as possible, and DPW is working with the applicant on the road opening permit, even though it's beyond the deadline for road opening permits.
We expect that to be done next week. Again, as has been the case with this project from day one that we discussed last week, the weather has certainly not cooperated, the rain.
And there's more coming.
There is more coming, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Basically, the silt and other stuff that's at the bottom of the basin has to dry and be removed. And then the fill and whatever that Paul can discuss has to be put in so that it's functioning, and that'll be done next week as well, and assuming we get all the permits and all that, which we're working towards, and SLT expects that to be done next week.
Okay. You donated the open space.
We donated the open space to some, last time we were here, the Conservation Commission had accepted it, and the selectmen had since accepted it. The deed has been recorded and moved forward in copies to the planning board, the selectmen, and the Conservation Commission.
And it doesn't have to go to town meeting.
No.
So
No,
it's
I
all,
was at
it's
that
all,
meeting
it's
when it
all,
was
it's
donated.
all done. So the planning board needs to determine if that meets your condition prior to getting building permits.
Is that something we need to do this evening?
No, that's
No.
not something you need, but I mean, basically, I think they've met the obligation
Yes, I
of
agree.
that requirement.
Okay, and then we have gas line relocation.
Paul has submitted a plan, and he's here to discuss that.
I've prepared a site plan that shows that the gas line will be on the left-hand side of the road instead of the right-hand side. Do you have a copy of that?
Utility layout?
Yeah, there's a standard detail in there, too. You should have a standard detail that they,
Maybe the cross-section.
yeah, the cross-section shows it in a little bit more clarity.
The proposal is to put the gas line on the left side of the road because the electric's on the right side. The reason for putting it on the left side is to get more separation from the loop water main. The water main goes up the right side of the pavement. Yeah, it goes up to the cul-de-sac and it comes back down on the left side. So the electric would be up against the back of the sidewalk, or the right-hand side of the roadway layout, and the gas will be on the left-hand side of the roadway layout. The gas line will be 1 foot inside the layout line of the roadway. It's a 42-foot wide layout, so it'll be 1 foot in from the left-hand side. It'll go up and wrap around the cul-de-sac. There are sleeves in the roadway to accept the gas main when it is installed. And the same for the underground electric. The sleeves are in for that as well. So I don't have to dig a trench through the minor course.
Okay.
And we submit a revised plan to run along with the cross-section.
Right, so what Paul just basically said, I kind of outlined it in pink so that I could see really where it was, but it's exactly what Paul just described, that it's going partly around the cul-de-sac, and Peter Palmieri said the sleeves are in as well. So I've made a motion to approve relocation of the gas line, if you'd like that.
Yes, would like that. Also, I have a motion here about a field change for the,
That's, wait a minute.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the process with the gas company to come in and have them approve it?
To have them approve it?
Yeah.
There's no process, Bill. They don't exist other than in Lawrence and Andover. We can't talk to them, they don't respond.
Yeah, okay.
The governor put a moratorium on till at least December 1st, and then, based on what people say, you can't even can't get anything till the springtime now.
I stopped a Columbia gas truck the other day and asked him what was going on. He said, I don't know. He said, we don't get answers either.
There was one working the other day, it was,
We see the trucks around, but
They're working on emergency things.
Emergencies.
As far as a project like this is concerned, Bill, we'll be lucky if they're back out doing these types of projects in the spring. It's probably going to be spring or summer, frankly.
which is why we moved the gas line, so it would be out of the road from underneath the asphalt. So we can put it in whenever they're ready to go.
what would you do if there must be some mentally in your mind or some point that you sit there and say, I won't go to gas?
Probably propane, because we can convert propane back to natural gas
Yeah.
with the same equipment.
Okay, so that each of them have individual tanks?
So,
Yes.
Yes. Not my favorite. We don't, we want to get,
Based on
at
what I
some
read.
point, we'll get the gas in there. I don't know when it will be.
Okay, I'm all set.
you wouldn't consider oil?
People don't like oil.
I guess, yeah, and we really haven't given it that much thought, because we think we're
In
going to
our
get,
experience.
we're going to get gas in the spring.
Well, after what happened up in the Merrimack Valley,
Good point.
you know, you really begin to wonder whether or not gas is as viable as you would like it to be.
That's kind of a social call, I don't know. I mean, I really haven't investigated it,
In
but
my
we,
experience in numerous subdivisions, most people, at least until this most recent few months, greatly prefer gas to oil, but
I forget the percentage, but a huge percentage of the state is
most
natural
customers,
gas.
most people buying homes.
Okay.
Maybe that will change.
I would think that you would go with oil before you do propane, but that's neither here
Well,
nor there.
again, it's the issue of being able to convert it.
convert it.
You know,
Okay,
So propane would just be temporary?
yes.
all right. So, yeah, I need to understand what this is.
That might not be.
Okay.
No, that was last, that's what you voted last time.
Okey doke.
That's what you voted.
Well, we have more pieces of paper from you people.
So we
You
have
have no idea.
We have a couple motions for tonight.
All right.
I have this one here.
You've got that one?
Sherry just gave it to me.
All right, you got both of them. And then we're-
All right, we can deal with the gas unless there's moving the gas pipe, does anybody?
So this is gas line relocation.
Yeah.
I move to accept the applicant's request as a minor field change to relocate the gas line from under the proposed roadways to 1 foot left off the left side of the right-of-way as shown on the revised utility layout section dated 11/29/18 and the revised utility layout plan dated 11/29/18 by Ross Engineering, Inc. for 90 Ann Vido/Curtis Estates.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
What we'd like to, with your permission,
Of course.
what we'd like to discuss next is the application of the binding code. SLT has been preparing and is nearly complete with the grading and fine grading. We've complete that and are prepared to put the binder coat down on Saturday. Now, it's our understanding that Peter Palmieri is not available on Saturday. We have, an SLT has found an engineer who has done work for the town in the past, Cole, and
Who, please?
used to be Tibbetts. and-
SW Cole, I
SW
think they call
Cole
themselves.
And Tibbetts, who has done work for the town in the past, they're not currently on the list. And our understanding is, we're one consultant short. Again, as with most of this project since its beginning, the weather has really hampered us. And we respectfully ask that Cole be allowed to inspect the laying of the binder coat. It is, in our view, critical that the binder coat be put down on Saturday. It's going to rain on Sunday, could freeze after that. Conceivably, if we don't get the binder coat down on Saturday, we'd be lucky if there's a January thaw, or we'd be looking at the spring. And this project, it would be devastating to the applicant. SLT and Keating Paving are the premier companies in the field. The engineer is qualified and knows what he's doing and has done it before. So we are imploring the board to allow us to put the binder coat down on Saturday.
Karen?
This is just, I was apprised of this earlier today. I think we need some letter of credentials of these people, and I think I need to run that by DPW as well, because the intention all along for this road is to be a public roadway. So I think we need something in writing, and I think I need some to get it, run it by DPW at a minimum.
And we agree, and we can certainly provide the credentials tomorrow. And we tried to contact DPW today. We spent the day on the phone. Kevin and Sean were unavailable all day. Wanted to discuss this in advance, but I'm certain they too will be available tomorrow.
It would appear that all the compaction testing does meet the required compaction. Peter Palmieri confirmed that, I believe, this afternoon.
Can you describe, Paul, what the process is of anyone that's observing
Yeah,
a binder coat?
we do inspections for some other planning boards and other towns, and when we inspect the placement of the asphalt, it's a matter of standing out there and make sure that the thickness is correct and that they're putting it in the proper alignment. And SLT has laid everything out there. We've been out there working on some of the as-bills. I've seen the base course that they have down for the processed gravel. Everything looks good. They've done a good job with that. The compaction tests were completed this week, and they were all successful. Peter Palmieri did get a copy of the report from the testing company, and everything was satisfactory. But to inspect the pavement, it's a matter of standing there and watching them put it down. That whole roadway, both of them, the short cul-de-sac and the long one, they'll probably pave that in 4 hours. If not sooner. The binder goes down very quick because you aren't putting down a berm. They just lay it down quick and roll it, and that's it. I mean, there's really not much to inspect.
We chose SLT because they are the premier contractor on the South Shore or Eastern Mass, and PJ Keating has the same reputation.
But there are concerns with temperature, too. It has to be at the correct temperature when the stuff,
Supposed to be close.
40 degrees and rising.
And 40 degrees and 50 on Sunday. So, I do truly appreciate and understand your dilemma. And we've had 11 inches of rain just this month alone. We're all singing Anchors Away, all of us. So.
That which we're not seeing, we're hearing about friends
Right.
and neighbors.
Yeah. So, what is the board's pleasure on this?
I think we need to understand what the credentials are for it, availability, who's going to be doing it, that sort of thing, and need to run that by DPW.
I agree.
Because the inspectors and the group that we have that are working now, they weren't done in a vacuum. Pretty heated discussion on selection of some of them or all of them.
Well,
I'd support that. If it ends up and there's a problem with it, it's a risk that we're taking.
We already have the two best companies in the area to put this binder coat down. It's a secondary road. It's not a major thoroughfare. It's not rocket science. As I actually spoke with Peter this morning, your consultant, and I asked him what he thought about it. And he has
It's not an activity that needs to be supervised, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent.
I think if rather than DPW, I think if you asked Mr. Palmieri, he would be very happy to recommend SLT and Keating because he did it to me this morning.
The other issue is that as this project continues, Merrill and Peter Palmieri are going to obviously continue to be the consultant, and if down the road Peter sees any issues with this, he'll obviously bring it to the board's attention, and it will be rectified. But we're not trying to replace Merrill at all, we're in a...
You're in a bind.
We're in a weather bind, which is really what's been driving all of our requests. The site, as of, what's today? Thursday. Tuesday, the paving company brought their equipment out and couldn't work. It was soupy up there. We just had to wait until actually today to be able to run the graders and compact and do everything that needed to be done. Seriously, we're at risk to, if we have rain Sunday, which is what they're calling for, everything that's been done to this point, and this road is ready to go, is going to be destroyed.
I would suggest that they get us the information as early as possible tomorrow morning, and we'll run it by both Merrill and DPW.
With the expectation that one, that they'd receive their credentials, but two is that we need a stamped report of what their observations were.
Okay.
And what time frame we got?
Sunday, Saturday. Tomorrow,
We know.
we need to get all of our eggs together here.
Yep.
We're gonna do our best to get it to you first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Okay, then what's the default plan if you don't can't get it all done on Saturday?
But that's the problem. It'll be destroyed.
There is no plan B
The
at this
fine
point.
grading of all the gravel over the frost-free material is set to go. If it rains, then we've got to wait for it to dry again, hope it doesn't freeze, which it's supposed to do next week, because if it starts freezing, then we can't do anything with it. We can't put asphalt down over frozen ground. So, I mean, it's a short window here. We think I think as an entity coming before this board, we've done everything, we've bent over backwards to do the right thing. In the end, I really want to have a conversation with you about, because you did ask me to have Bob write the board, and that's all I did.
We'll talk that after we figure out what you're going to do on
No, I
Saturday.
know. I feel badly that because you were bothered by that, and I understand. Yeah. And it was not my intention to do that.
That said, I understand that this is a very difficult thing. If the precedent is we always have our engineer watch the binder go down.
Yes, we have our engineer, or they have hired, or our engineer hires a testing company, and they're out there, and so sometimes it's a mixture of both. And so if they provide us the information, and it's satisfactory, but it has to be inspected, and like Bill said, I think we should have a stamp report on what's there, because it is proposed to be a town road.
Right.
And Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but you're prepared to do the as-built and...
As soon as the binder coat is
As soon
down.
as the binder coat goes down, and have that ready prior to the next meeting, correct?
I mean, the as-bills?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we can't finish the as-bills till the binder's down. We do have a fair amount of it done, but we can't complete it till the binder's down.
But we understand, Bill, especially that you, as you suggest, whatever observations the engineer makes, you'll have a stamp on it.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'd like to receive that final report prior to the next meeting.
Yes.
That's our intention, Karen.
I guess.
Should have the report in hand probably 1 o'clock on Saturday if you get them.
Right.
Because he'll be watching SEC football in the afternoon.
All right, well, I guess that's.
So then if Merrill and DPW agree to who they provide who they send me some type of email or letter with the credentials, then you're okay with them paving?
Yes.
What is it that you want for credentials? I'm not sure. What would you like us to send you? I mean, these companies are well thought of. SLT is doing the proving grounds.
Yeah, but somebody's got to be out there. Who from these people are going to be doing the testing that it's hot enough and that, watching that it goes down?
We're going to
professional-
bring in a certified engineer to do
Okay,
that.
That's all
So-
we need.
So we want the name of the certified engineer and from what company?
Oh, that's fine, yeah. I
That's
thought you
all-
meant credentials for SLT and...
No, no,
No, I mean,
I'm sorry.
Engineer.
Just for the engineer.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
all right, so we've determined that we've got the gas line approved. We've determined that they're hopefully going to be doing the drainage in Ann Vinyl Road next week with whatever conditions DPW puts on the street opening permit, and I know that it's all supposed to be done in one day. So that will help prevent the river running down Ann Vinyl Road, and we won't get any more calls. We're going to get an engineer. They're going to provide us the name of an engineer tomorrow, and we're going to run that by Merrill and DPW to determine if they're acceptable. And if they're acceptable for observing the paving, then they will be okayed, and then we want a stamp report before the next meeting.
Yes.
So then, the next issue is bond. Will the board accept a bond?
Nancy, you accept the bond?
Are we waiting for more information now?
Nancy would not prefer a bond, no.
But your bylaws are full of descriptions, and most, I don't know of another municipality that doesn't accept a bond. I mean, that's what it's there for. It's, first of all, the issue of what's left to be included in the bond is basically the top coat, which probably won't get done for about 2 years, the street trees, which will get done after the top coat is applied, and Karen asked me if we would bond the sidewalk that we're donating to the town. I'm amenable to that. I don't have a problem. As far as utilities are concerned, the gas company, there's no charge to put in the gas main. The only charge is from SLT to dig the trench, and the charge is $8,000. That money is sitting in the bank because we have a construction loan that funds this whole thing. All of these different items, with the exception of the top coat and the things that come further out, are already included in our construction loan. The electric is, I can show you the bill, I just paid it, from National Grid is $12,500. That's what they charge to install the electric. That's the, bring it up.
It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
So there really isn't, there's not a lot, other than we will certainly be willing to bond anything that's got to do with the fact that clearly Basin 2 is not going to be completed, because we can't grow grass at this time of year. We're looking at other ways to potentially stabilize it, but part of the reason, Marabito can speak to it, is that it isn't working properly is because it's not finished. If we need to dry it out, loam it, seed it, and let it take hold, and then we'll have a product that we can be assured that it will work.
Some of the components are already in Basin 2, and they are working exactly the way they were designed to work, but the other components aren't there yet. And it really has to do with the rain, the fact that they couldn't keep that basin dry. What they have to do is just scrape the silt out of there, place the sand in the loam, and then seed it. And once that's done, everything will function 100% as it was intended to by the approved design. But until that time, they do have silt bags out there, and they drain it when they can. Putting that drain manhole in the street's going to help a lot, so you don't get icing on the sidewalk. I was out there last Saturday morning or Friday morning, and there's a bad icing situation, but it was to the right side of the entrance drive to the Hadley School. I don't know if it was a cellar drain or what, but that road was completely iced up. It was probably 400 feet from the subdivision.
I think that the other thing with Basin 2 is I don't know of any components that aren't there. The construction of the basin, if it isn't done today, it will be done by the end of the week. In other words, the way it's going to look, the way the berm looks, the rocks, everything that has to be there. The only thing left to do to complete it is this loam and seeding process.
And so that would need to be included in the bond. Which is what Peter Palmieri is doing. He's reviewing what work hasn't been done, plus inflation and contingencies that need to be part of the bond, because that's, the bond is meant to protect the town in the event that the town has to do the work. So I would imagine that as soon as I get the estimate from Peter, we will probably be sitting down with Mr. Marabito and Mr. Sharon and coming to some agreement over what needs to be in there if there's a difference of opinion.
Okay.
But do we need to still address the viability of using a bond to?
It's up to the board.
I think the bond is one of the allowable ways of.
It is an allowable way in the subdivision.
For sure, the answer is no. But bonds work, and so it's listed as an available choice for them to provide it, and as long as the number is covered, And I think that's all we need.
And the bond will be at least 20% more than the actual construction.
And I couldn't get from them the town's language in time for tonight, so we'll get it to you as soon as I get it from them.
Right, but in the event that at the next meeting, that we're down to the wire negotiating numbers, and the bond isn't here because the board hasn't agreed upon numbers, it can always be voted, as you've done in the past, lot releases can be granted if everything is done and surety is there. Once the bond is in the office, then we can release the lots. That's how it's been done in the past.
The bond is actually ready to go. We just need the language approved
And the number.
and the number.
Rebecca, did you have anything you want to say?
Have we had many bonds before? That's my question.
Bill?
Have we?
Have we?
Walnut Tree Hill is a bond.
Walnut Tree Hill was a bond, and that was a problem, because the contractor did go belly up, and it was a lot of work chasing after that bond. And that's the only quote subdivision that I know of that had a bond. We right now have bond for Seaside at Scituate.
And we're an afterthought compared to Walnut Tree Hills.
I didn't bring Walnut Tree Hill up because it's an example on both pieces. One is it a bond, and yes, was there a bond with it?
What are our other options?
What are the options? Right.
Yeah, what
It's a bond or cash, because tripartite is not acceptable.
Okay.
And this is an issue of, does the developer come up with $3,000 or $200,000? That's a major problem.
But we still we don't know the amount of the bond yet.
We don't know the amount of the bond.
It'll be less than $200,000.
Well, by the time we meet again,
We'll have a better handle on
we'll
that,
have an
but I
agreed
mean,
figure for you to-
we're within the bylaws. I mean,
So are we voting on the bond tonight, or are we waiting until we have an actual number?
We're going to wait till we have a...
Well, I mean,
I think we got to agree.
We have to
you have to agree if you're going to accept a bond or not. I mean, the finalized numbers won't,
Won't matter.
Okay.
they're still being worked on.
Bill, will you accept a bond?
I will accept the bond.
Patty?
Yes, I will.
Ben?
I don't think it's up to me. I think the bylaw says what we have to
Okay.
do, personally.
Okay.
All right, so we will accept a bond.
We'll work that out, be in agreement when we meet again.
All right.
okay, we'll get the rest of the information to you first thing in the morning.
Okay?
Again, we thank you for your assistance.
Nancy's happy, we're happy.
Well, Nancy would prefer not to have a bond.
Just be sure, because we know that another inch or two is coming in on Sunday, that somehow some remediation has to be done to prevent some of this water from scooting onto Ann Vinyl.
Yeah.
Okay? Think about that, please.
We will.
Tuesday, it was like you could have a canoe out there. It was crazy. It was just repelling.
It's been a nightmare.
I know.
really.
Well, there's water where
That
this...
much rain, we should be able to make it all the way down from Hadley Road down past your project.
I did check the basins today, by the way. We did clean out the silt bag in one of those basins that was...
Yeah, I mean, I had reports of some leaves on catch basins in Ann Vinyl Road. Maybe,
yes.
maybe you
We
could make
those.
sure that those are all clean before Sunday, just so that the rainwater...
Yep, we did it
I mean,
today,
you're
actually.
helping the rainwater go to where it is supposed to go.
Absolutely.
And one thing I will say, that stone wall that you have constructed is absolutely stunning.
I think it's going to look nice.
It is
And that's why
stunning.
we haven't decided, but we probably will do the sidewalk in the summer, once the school's out.
Right.
And then grass it, and I think it'll be beautiful over there.
But that stone wall is just beautiful.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Nice.
Some good things happen. So,
So,
All right.
the next meeting is the 13th. Can we continue this discussion then?
yes, we can. All right.
Where would-
Thank you.
What are we doing with foundations?
Do we need to vote on
Foundations,
that? Other issue?
Well, we're willing to, I think that we'll be asking for lot releases, assuming we can put this binder coat down, we'll be asking for lot releases at the next meeting. We will probably start, we're looking to start 4 lots, 4 spec houses up there. We probably will start with our tree guy and maybe some stumping or something like that, and just forego the foundations. I mean, it's not, you know, we're just trying to beat the weather.
I know you are, and I'm concerned too because the ground is so saturated with water. Who is to say that you put in a foundation, it just goes...
This fellow right here.
Yeah, well,
If it happens, we have a major problem.
I know somebody's swimming pool did that.
No, they've calculated the height, the depth of the foundations based on the water table.
Right.
So, I mean, you're not going to be clearing those lots before lot releases?
We may. I'm told by the building inspector, there's no problem with us clearing lots.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure condition-wise you can do
No, I
that.
don't think
No.
those are the conditions.
I mean, is there a condition that tells us we can't do it?
Look at the covenant.
I think there is.
I'll have to double check that. I don't believe you can clear the lots prior to lot releases. Nobody else has ever done that.
Well, I know, but we're in a situation where we got freezing weather coming.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Head start on this. Where is it written that we can't do that?
Would have to be the covenant.
I'll look in the covenant, I'll look in other materials.
Today, I didn't see it anywhere. And it has nothing to do with construction. It has to do with clearing 4 lots to
You know what, we are going to resolve this when you bring in the necessary information tomorrow morning,
okay.
all right? We'll look through the conditions, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
We're not going to resolve it this evening,
Okay,
okay?
sure.
All right,
Thank you.
We thank you. Good night.
good night.
Thank you, good night.
I want to take a 2-minute break, please.
Okay.
Okay, we have approved minutes.
Oh, minutes. Hold on. Okay. I move to approve the meeting minutes for November 8th, 2018. Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Accounting.
I move to approve the requisition of $120 to Chesia Consulting Services LLC for site inspections for 50 Country Way, for $104.52 to Gatehouse Media for legal ad for 16 First Avenue, for $108.54 to Gatehouse Media for legal ad for 6 McDonald Terrace, for $104.52 to Gatehouse Media for legal ad for 10 Driftway, for $1,440.80 to Merrill Corporation for site inspections and as-built reviews for 105 Hadley Road, for $5,378.30 to Frank R. Snow, Inc., for release of final surety and unexpended funds for 545 Common Driveway, for $69.74 to Schwab, Inc. for office supplies.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any liaison reports?
No. We're all floating away.
We're all underwater. Anything in the planning development?
Yes, they will be paving 50 Country Way on Saturday with Mr. Chesia and their testing company present. So John is going to be there part of the time, but John has arranged for a testing company, the same testing company that did the binder and has done all the rest of the stuff. So they will be out there, and they intend to be paving on Saturday.
This is the emergency access?
And the whole parking, and all the parking.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's like the permeable pavement as well as the regular
Yes.
bituminous?
Yes, both.
Excellent.
So, I mean, they've arranged for all the testing companies, they had arranged for all that for the week of Thanksgiving, except it was going to be a problem if it was the Friday after Thanksgiving, because no testing, so nobody could pave. So, we have to have non-monetary articles into the TA tomorrow, so we are putting in placeholders for flexible open space, changing the, adding the homeowners association trust. We've been starting to work on the floodplain map, trying to get the discrepancies so that the 72 floodplain map matches what's really supposed to be. And we'll put in a placeholder for the open space, for the Greenbush zoning, which will be on your agenda next time. Ted Brovitz is going to be coming in and having, going over some of the proposed zoning with you. And then there might be one other housekeeping that I know of, but as soon as we get some of the zoning put together, we will be sharing it with you.
The open space address, the acceptance by the town of the conservation land?
Yeah, it also puts a provision in for a homeowners association trust.
Okay, good.
All right, the other,
So then, are people okay with the master elevations from Seaside at Scituate? I thought that they seemed to resemble pretty closely what they had given you in October. And so I'm going to write them a letter, if everyone's okay with that these master elevations are acceptable, and any changes from them need to be run through the planning board.
okay.
I think that's it, except we've had a lot of stormwater complaints.
If they started building it, they got the Tudors, I saw people down there.
Yeah, they have a building permit.
They
They did like the footer and stuff already.
Yeah,
I think,
they
for
did.
The same site contractor that worked on 50 Country Way is doing Gunther Tootie's, McDougal Brothers.
Have they hooked into the sewer yet for Building B?
Building B has not paid their sewer fee yet.
Okay.
And they haven't done the sewer replacement, the pipe, the 60-foot of pipe that's needed on the 17 New Driftway property for Building A.
Okay.
So those things are in the pipeline.
Okay, so are you all set?
I'm all set.
Just an FYI for people.
Oh, no, I forgot one thing.
What?
Design Review Committee, we've had two resumes submitted. We were going to have one of them can make it next time for a brief interview. The other one can't make it.
Okay.
So we'll have one interview, and then you guys will give you the second resume, and we'll see what happens from there.
Just an FYI for the board in terms of economic development, North Scituate appears to be turning into a ghost town.
Yes.
Wilbur's is closing.
Oh, I know.
CrossFit is gone.
Live
yeah.
Fit, because they had a fire there 3 weeks ago, and it would take 6 to 8 months to rectify that building, so they've closed shop. Who else? Chrysalis, they were in the Wilder Brothers parking lot, they're gone. And then Mono Mono is now closed on Monday and Tuesdays. They're supposed to be wholesale or something, I have no idea what they're doing. There's, other than Cosmos, there's no place to get lunch on Mondays in North Scituate. Bank's gone, Jamie's is gone. So we have some serious issues in terms of economics in North Scituate that I think need to be addressed sooner as opposed to later.
I think we got some type of a grant to study some of the zoning in
Yes.
North Scituate, and that's one of the goals in the next year for that,
Right.
for Greenbush and North Scituate.
Well, North Scituate, for whatever reason, is just, I don't understand it. But again, we have lost our two biggest anchors.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I'll entertain Bill's motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.